Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has offered condolences for the over 150 people killed at a Halloween street party in South Korea's capital, Seoul. We pray the risen Lord also for those, especially young people, who died last night in Seoul due to the tragic consequences of a sudden crush. So said the Pope after his Sunday Angelus prayer in St. Peter's Square, inviting the crowd to pray for the victims. Pope Francis also prayed for the victims of twin car bomb explosions on Saturday outside Somalia's Education Ministry building in Mogadishu, killing at least 100 people and injuring more than 300 others. A Tory member of Parliament who supported cutting the abortion time limit and voted against buffer zones outside clinics has been named as Minister for Women. Maria Caulfield, the MP for Lewes, was previously an officer of the all-party parliamentary pro-life group and voted against legalising abortion in Northern Ireland. 47-year-old Caulfield had stated that she wants to be a voice for the unborn child. A spokesperson for the government's Equality Hub said the Minister for Women has a strong track record of delivering for women in her previous ministerial roles. We will continue to pursue a compassionate approach to equality, ensuring that everyone can live their lives free from discrimination. The Archbishop of Seoul, Peter Chung Soon-taick, has expressed his desire for the Archdiocese to host World Youth Day in 2027. The prelate wants to bring World Youth Day to Asia, saying it would be an extraordinary opportunity to relaunch youth ministry in a country struggling with the demographic winter and with an educational system dominated by competitiveness. He continued, "We want to bring World Youth Day to Seoul in 2027. We are presenting our candidacy to be the diocese that will host the World Gathering of Youth, with the Pope in the edition following next year's one in Lisbon." He was attending the General Conference of the Catholic Churches of Asia in Bangkok in Thailand. Shalom World brings to viewers live coverage of the first ever apostolic visit of Pope Francis to the Kingdom of Bahrain and a whole variety of special programs.
Pope Francis will be the first pontiff to ever visit Bahrain, the island of pearls in the Persian Gulf.
The Holy Father is visiting the island nation from November the 3rd to the 6th. On Thursday, the Holy Father will arrive at Sakir Air Base in Awali at 4:45 p.m. local time. In the evening, he will pay a courtesy visit to King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa at Sakir Palace. On Friday, Pope Francis will be participating in the conclusion of the Bahrain Forum for Dialogue, East and West for Human Coexistence. At 4 p.m. local time, the Holy Father will meet Sheikh Ahmad El Tayeb, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar Mosque and University in Egypt. The pontiff will then visit Our Lady of Arabia Cathedral in Awali, the biggest church on the Arabian Peninsula, to take part in a prayer for peace. On Saturday, he will celebrate Holy Mass at the Bahrain International Stadium. On Sunday, the last day of his visit, the Pope will take part in a prayer meeting and Angelus with religious and pastoral workers at the Sacred Heart Church in Manama. At 12:30 p.m, he will be finally given a grand farewell at Sakir Air Base, from where he will depart for Rome. A Mass will be offered for babies lost in miscarriage or as newborns on the Feast of All Saints on November the 1st in Ecuador. The Archdiocese of Guayaquil announced that those who will attend will be able to pre-register online with their intentions for the soul of their baby. The registration link also includes intentions for the health of a baby in utero. A note sent to news agency ACI Prensa stated that as part of the celebration, the remains of children who recently died for various reasons in the prenatal and neonatal stages will also be buried, giving their families a place for the mourning, recollection and consolation they need, honouring the human dignity of the little one. The Mass will begin at 11 a.m. in the Metropolitan Pantheon in coordination with the Guayaquil Benevolent Board. The Grotto of the Virgin of the Unborn and To Be Born will be dedicated and donated by Guayaquil artists Jorge Velarde and Paulo Cesa. A celebrity chef, who is also called Iran's Jamie Oliver, was beaten to death by security forces amid anti-regime protests. This has sparked a new wave of unrest in the country. Mershad Shahidi, who is about to turn 20 years old, was allegedly killed by Iran's Revolutionary Guard forces in the central city of Arak on October the 25th. According to local media, the young man was arrested during a protest and reportedly beaten to death with batons at the IRGC Intelligence's detention centre. Iranian authorities have denied any responsibility for the young sheikh's death, adding they will announce the cause of his death later. A committee of Florida's medical boards voted to approve a draft-making procedure that would ban surgeries or hormonal treatment for children under 18 who face gender dysphoria. The joint committee meeting, which included members from the Florida Board of Medicine and Florida Board of Osteopathic Medicine, took place in Orlando on Friday. They will meet again on November the 4th to finalise the rule. On March the 28th, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill that prohibits instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in classrooms. The bill came into effect on July the 1st. It was passed to give more rights to parents in the upbringing of their children. The founder of the Congregation of the Little Sisters of the Annunciation, Sister Maria Berenice, has been beatified by the Catholic Church. The beatification ceremony took place at the Cathedral Church of Medellin in Colombia and was presided over by Cardinal Marcello Semeraro, the prefect of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints. The cardinal remembered the virtues of the nun in his homily. Sister Maria, whose birth name is Anna Julia Duke Henker, served among the poor after professing as a nun in 1919. Her canonization process began during the time of Pope St. John Paul II. Sister Maria was declared venerable by Pope Francis on February the 12th in 2019. Severe tropical storm Nalgae ploughed through the Philippines, unleashing flash floods and mudslides, killing more than 45 people. According to the National Disaster Department, the storm slammed into the South Asian country on Thursday, causing more than 379 incidents of flooding and 60 incidents of landslides across the country. According to the National Disaster Department, Nalgae is the second deadliest storm to hit the Philippines this year, especially affecting Maguindanao province. Meanwhile, the Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is scheduled to visit the storm-affected regions to inspect the intensity of the disaster. He has further assured assistance to all those affected by the calamity. Condemning the attack against Paul Pelosi, the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the U.S. Bishops' Conference President Archbishop Jose Gomez of Los Angeles assured his prayers and his closeness. In a statement, the prelate stated that he offers prayers for the complete recovery of Paul Pelosi and comfort for his family. An intruder had attacked Mr. Pelosi at their home in San Francisco with a hammer on October the 28th. A representative for the House Speaker said that Pelosi underwent successful surgery to repair a skull fracture and major damage to his arm and hands, and that he is expected to make a full recovery. Separately, through a tweet on Friday, Salvatore Cordileone, the Archbishop of San Francisco, also requested prayers for Pelosi's speedy recovery and solace for his wife and family. Authorities have identified David DePape as a suspect, and the motive behind the assault is being investigated. Leftist candidate and former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva defeated incumbent President Jair Bolsonaro on October the 30th, with 50.9% of the vote against Mr. Bolsonaro's 49.1%. The Supreme Electoral Court proclaimed Lula the winner and the next president, signalling the end of the Latin American nation's most right-wing administration. Lula will now take office on January the 1st in 2023. He was president from 2003 to 2010, and he won the first round on October the 2nd, but by a much smaller margin than expected by pollsters. Lula's triumph highlights Latin American politics' move to the left. Mr. Bolsonaro has not yet responded to the election result, which is even eagerly awaited by the international community. As Christmas comes closer, the Vatican gears up to celebrate the Nativity of Christ, the Lord, through various events. According to the Vatican City-State Office, this year, 19 life-size figures carved in cedar by artisans in the northern Italian town of Sutrio will be displayed at the nativity scene that will be placed under a 98-foot-tall silver fir tree in the centre of St. Peter's Square. The ornaments to be placed on the tree will be made by young adults at a residential mental health facility in the Italian town of Rosello. Earlier, the Vatican's Philatelic Office had published a notice about the Christmas stamps, which were painted by an Italian artist and activist, Francesco Canali, who was born without arms or legs, and paints holding a brush between his teeth. The two paintings by Canali, one of an angel telling a shepherd about the birth of Jesus, and the other of a shepherd adoring the baby Jesus, are the official Christmas stamps of the Vatican this year. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more, and do remember, you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom!